Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. In case you are watching this channel for the first time, kindly subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so that YouTube will notify you whenever there is a new video. And kindly give many likes to our videos. Those who are supporting this channel in one way or the other, and all the subscribers, I'm deeply humbled. May God bless you. When will Raila Odinga be tired? And what is he really up to? Those are questions that are bothering William Ruto and his allies. After the August polls, William Ruto and his brigade had envisaged that Raila was going to retire to Bondo. And he also thought that his supporters were going to be tired of being told that Raila is not succeeding to get to State House now for a period 5 times. But it seems that Raila Odinga knows how to politically metamorphose. He metamorphosizes into a different politician every second, and he gets rejuvenated by the day. Raila Odinga had announced to his supporters that come the beginning of this year, he would tell them which way to go. Because at the close of 2022 last year, Raila had started his street rallies where he promised his supporters that he would consult them on the current situation, the cost of living, which William Ruto promised to bring down, but instead is really skyrocketing. But it seems he curtailed his plans when he was invited to go to the US in that US African tour. So after coming back, there were several pending questions that his supporters wanted to know from him. And so when he said that he would give them a way forward this year, it seems he hinted yesterday what he wants to do. Because yesterday, while celebrating his birthday in Mombasa, where he was hosted by the Mombasa governor, among other leaders, Raila Odinga made a speech that really is not going well within the corridors of this administration. And I want us to look at these statements and what they point to, or what they point at in the year that we are just beginning. William Ruto had really made inroads into Raila Odinga's strongholds in Mombasa, in Western, and even sending Eliud Owalo, who is the CS in the Ministry of ICT, to try and rock the boat in Nyanza. So Raila Odinga chose very significantly to go to Mombasa, because Mombasa is one of the places where Raila commands a massive support. And Raila made the following statements. Number one, Raila said that he is not going to retire from politics, because he's saying that he knows the road to Bondo, and so no one can tell him when to retire, because in his own very words, he is still very strong. Now, if there is one thing that the Ruto administration would want to hear, is a headline in one of the mainstream media that Raila Odinga has announced his retirement from politics. For Raila to say and state that he's still staying in politics, it is going to be a thorn in the flesh, because it is not only his stay in politics and continuity that is giving William Ruto problems, but his reform agenda that resonates well with the Kenyan people is one that William Ruto spends sleepless nights. He doesn't know what to do about it. We all know that currently Kenyans are grappling with a lot of challenges. At the height of it is the cost of living. And Raila will take advantage of this. He will be asking his supporters, now that William Ruto is not honoring his election pledges, what next? And you know what that means. As I've said earlier, Raila will give his itinerary and he will start visiting several towns and streets and his supporters, the same way he did with the Azimio, where he was visiting every town just to collect opinions of Kenyans on what the way forward would mean. And so whenever Raila is going around meeting his people, it is very dangerous because he is reminding people, his supporters and those who supported William Ruto, that this administration gave promises that they cannot honor. And so what does it mean? It means that you cannot trust them come 2027. And this is the reason I'm saying it is really giving William Ruto anxious moments when Raila continues to meet his people. Of recent, Kalonzo Musyoka and his allies had piled pressure on Raila to support him come 2027. And his message was seen as a coded message to Kalonzo and his allies. It is like Raila is telling them that you cannot go on the streets or on social media or on national TVs to demand support from Raila. All he wants is that they can sit down as Azimio family to chart a way forward, so that if it is Kalonzo Musyoka or Martha Karua, they would have a very proper plan on how Raila would hand over his support base, how they would chart their way forward. Because it is not just blatant that Raila says it is Kalonzo Musyoka. They must look at the realignments that are going to be formed in the next few months or years. Because the truth is, whenever people are approaching elections, there are several realignments. Already you can see that in Kenya Kwanza, the boat is not stable. Rigathi Gachagua team and Musalia Mudavadi's team are not reading from the same page. There is a lot of Cold War and some ethnic undertones. So you never know. Some people are alleging that Rigathi Gachagua is considering to start quoting Raila silently. And so there are several things that come to play. And this is the reason why you can't just wake up and say that I need your support. People must sit down, especially for people who belong to the Azimio family. So he chose to answer that question. Raila said that without proper electoral reforms, then there is no need of going back to 2027 presidential polls. And this statement sought to answer the biggest questions that his supporters have been asking. Because the supporters are saying that Raila Amolo Odinga keeps telling them that the international community, especially the West, IEBC and the judiciary, connived together to rob him of his victory. And then William Ruto was the deputy president. But now, the question within the streets is that William Ruto, who is a very crafty politician, is now at the helm of everything. He's the president and he's got the sword. He is the commander-in-chief of all the armed forces. So they're asking Raila, what exactly is your game plan? Because William Ruto is still there and the international community is still there. So when Raila says that there will be no election in 2027, he's simply telling his supporters that he is not blind to what is happening and that they will ensure that they clean the IEBC house. In fact, he called on Ruto to form a task force to look into what exactly happened in Bomas. Because it is very interesting to hear William Ruto claiming that Chebukati was under pressure to announce and declare Raila as the winner of the 2022 presidential elections. And Raila maintains on his side that Chebukati was coerced in cahoot with other forces to declare illegally William Ruto as the president. So there are very interesting scenarios, and Kenyans would really want to hear. In fact, if you ask me from where I sit, William Ruto should form this task force so that we can really, know what happened inside Bomas, because both the Azimio and Kenya Kwanza are giving us very, contradicting and interesting situations. So Raila is saying that Kenyans need to know. In fact, according to him, the Cherera team are being sacrificed for nothing. He believes that one person who belongs to jail is Wafula Chebukati. So moving forward, even if Raila told his supporters that he would announce the next course of action, I can assure you that he had given them a glimpse. People are going to start consultative meetings on reform agenda, on the high cost of living, and what they want to do. Since Kenya gained its independence, the reforms have only been achieved by people going to Kamkunjis and running street battles with the police. So you don't be surprised if you see people going to the streets, because it is envisaged in the current constitution that people have got the freedom of picketing and freedom of association and gathering. So they can start this gathering and soft and peaceful demonstrations to coerce and force the government to listen to them. When this happens, it will not be very easy for William Ruto, because when people go to the streets, several businesses will be closed. It will be showing just how people are idle, because people don't have jobs. So if they hear those calls of people going to the streets, they will go. And this is what I'm telling you, that Raila Amolo Odinga's continuity in Kenyan politics is giving William Ruto sleepless nights. The last thing that Raila is seeking to do is that if William Ruto is not very careful, they will start their usual Sunday services, which they always turn into political rhetorics, and they will start chiding Raila and answering to him. Politically speaking, whenever you focus so much on your opponent and their statements and their actions, you kind of forget the real agenda. So instead of focusing on how to bring the high cost of basic commodities down and how to ease the burden that Kenyans are grappling with on the cost of living, they will be focusing so much on Raila's statements, and they will be answering him, and this will be working to the advantage of Raila, because Raila is not in power. So he is the opposition leader and he is allowed to criticize the government. But when the government decides now to answer him, they look like people who are only trying to defend their position and giving excuses, instead of looking very seriously into issues that Raila Amolo Odinga are putting on the table. Because the truth is, the reform agenda that Raila is talking about is one that resonates well with the Kenyan people. Reforms on food and the cost of living, reforms on electoral justice, reforms on human rights. These are things that resonate well with Kenyans. And Raila knows that when he starts all this and meeting his people and reminding them that William Ruto has failed, it is going to be very injurious to Ruto's administration, ladies and gentlemen.